Hello students, when we are talking about the electronics, we need to understand some properties of material concerned with the flow of the electrons. Now materials according to the flow of electrons are divided into the two parts. One is known as an insulator, whereas another is known as a conductor. Insulator allows the flow, doesn't allow the flow of currents, whereas conductor allows the flow of currents. Now another type of material is there known as a semiconductor, which having the properties in between the conductor and semiconductor, and it has 4 valence electrons in its valence band, due to which it is one of the most important material in the terms of the electronics. Now when we think about the semiconductor, we need to understand the basic concept of the semiconductor. There are two types of semiconductor. If we thought about the purity of the material, one is the intrinsic type of semiconductor, another is extrinsic type of semiconductor. Intrinsic type of semiconductor are those who had pure material, like silicon. Completely is the material is made up of the silicon, there is no impurity in them. That means there is a complete covalent bond is there, okay, for the sharing of the electron. And the basic examples are silicon and germanium. Whereas eccentric type of semiconductor are the semiconductor again divided into the two parts. One is having extra holes, whereas another is having extra electrons, and these are due to the impurity has been added to the material. The extra holes are known as p type of the semiconductor, and they had extra holes. That means there is an absence of electrons in the covalent bonding, and since we have added the trivalent impurity atoms in the pure semiconductor. Now if we add the impurity which are having the extra electrons in them, then there are free electrons available for the conduction of electrons without any applying the external power supply. And these type of the semiconductors are known as N type of semiconductor, having pentavalent impurity in them. Now if we add this p and n type of the semiconductor, and what we saw at the boundary is the electrons of the n type cross over the region and migrate across the junctions and find the extra holes. But this happened to up to a limited period or limited length, and that is the what we call as a deflection layer. Okay? Once the deflection layer is formed, a potential difference has been set up across the deflection layer and doesn't allow the electrons to pass over the deflection layer to come into the p type of the material. Now if we try to find the application based on such a junctions, then we have to think about the application, how to apply this. Now if we add power supply to this junction, positive to the anode side and negative to the cathode side, then and we increase the potential across the junction, the potential difference will external applied potential difference is become more than the deflection region. The electrons start passing through p type to n type to p types, and the current flows. But when we this is what we call as a forward bias. But when we make the reverse bias junction, then what happened? The reverse bias junction will have increase the width of the deflection region and doesn't allow the current to pass. That means the current has to be passed in only in a forward bias direction, whereas in a reverse bias direction the only leakage current can pass through this. Now what is the leakage current? The leakage current is the extra minority carrier current which passes between this junction, otherwise it doesn't allow to pass. Okay, So according to that, we had diode characteristics, since it is known as a diode. So diode characteristics, as you can see, that it can allow the forward current through the green region, you can see, but it also block the reverse current, that is red region. And if we cross the red region apart from the 100 volt, that is what we call as a avalanche breakdown. Okay, now this is what we had: a forward current, forward voltage region, whereas a reverse current, reverse voltage region is the third quadrant of the graph. Now these lead us for the thinking how to do the thing. Now the Zener diode, which is actually used for the regulator purpose, that is voltage regulator purposes. Now if we add what we are using, the property of the reverse bias of a simple plain diode, okay, but as we have increased the impurity in such a way that it works in a reverse bias to hold the voltage across the region as a constant. So Zener diode, which has been added as a reverse bias over here, will hold the voltage V out a constant value. That's for Zener diode is known as a voltage regulator, since it hold the or it regulate the voltage. Now these are some of the good application. Now if we had an idea of one junction, then what if we increase the junction? So what will happen if we increase the junction? That means two junction. What if the two junctions are there? That means one junction between the P and N type, another junction is between the N and P type, like over here you can see. So there will be two deflection region, and these two deflection region can break through the for example over here the B terminal. Through the B terminal we can make the current to flow between the E and C, and there are two junctions we are using it. That means we can have three terminal devices using the two junctions. Okay, and these three terminals: base, emitter, and the third terminal is collector. So what we have, base is the control, emitter emits the charge, and collector collects the charge. So emitter emits charge, base control the charge and flow of charge. Base control the flow of charge, whereas collector collect the charge, and that lead us to the new device known as transistor. Transistor, three terminal, three element resistors. Now transistor concept has been divided into the two parts. One is current control devices, another is the voltage control devices. Now current control devices are formed on the concept of the bipolar junction transistor. That means there are two types of polarity between the junction, and that is these junction has been joined to form the transistor. And there are like a concept of over here, emitter emits the current, therefore the water flows from the emitter to collector, but base is the terminal which control the flow of current, how much current has to be flow between the emitter and collector. There are two type of BJT. One is PNP, that is P-type semiconductor is sandwiched between, N-type semiconductor has been sandwiched between the two P-type semiconductor, as you can see. And through the symbol also you can see, since the N-type has been sandwiches between the two P-type semiconductor, the arrow is inside in the symbol. What we conclude that emitter is a P-type, collector is also a P-type, but the base is the N-type semiconductor. Again, we do also had NPN transistor. Now NPN transistor will has the same way. The collector will be N-type, emitter will be N-type, and the base will be P-type. The current will flow like this, and the junction will close between the base and emitter. That means base emitter junction get forward bias and base collector junction get reverse bias. By applying a small base voltage, we can switch on the transistor or off the transistor depending upon the needs. Now, once we thought about the voltage control devices, what we had, that source and the drain. The current flows between the source and the drain, and the gate control the flow of current. How much current has to be flow between source and drain. How much we press the gate, that much will be the current flows between source and drain. And that lead us to the junction field effect. Since यहाँ पर junctions की वजह से current flow हो रहा है, junction के ऊपर field की वजह से current flow हो रहा है, the source provide the electrons to flow up to the drain, ठीक है ना, up to a desired value, and that has been controlled through the gate. Okay. Now another type of the voltage control device is metal oxide semiconductor devices. Now metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor again are two types. One is enhanced type metal oxide semiconductor transistor, another is the depletion type. Now if we talk about the transistor or junctions, we even can think about what if there are, rather than two junctions, there are three junctions. ठीक है ना? And that lead us to the new device known as SCR. Okay. Now what is SCR? As you can see, there are three junctions between the PN junction known as, okay, between the two terminal anode and cathode, and the gate is the one which turns on the SCR. Now as you can see, in a normal operation, J1 is a forward bias, since positive has been applied to the P type. So J1 junction is forward bias, whereas J3 junction N is negative cathode is again a forward bias. The J1 junction and J3 junction get forward bias, but what about the J2 junction? Yes, the J2 junction get a reversed bias since of the polarity. The current doesn't flow. If I just apply a positive voltage between anode and cathode, the current doesn't flow. The current, how to flow the current? To make sure to break the J2 junction. We have to make the break in between the J2 junction, and this is there are two ways to break it. One is by providing a voltage, small voltage at the gate, and another is to increase the potential between anode and cathode, and this is known as a silicon rectifier transistor. Yes, these are used in basically in power supplies. Now one more type is there in a transistor, is known as a unijunction transistor. Yes, though I have told you that concept has been started with the two junction, but one of the type is there known as a unijunction transistor, that is known as a UJT, unijunction transistor. Now what happened in unijunction transistor? There is only one PN junction between the two terminal of its, known as a base 1 and base 2, and it been controlled with the junction terminal emitter, known as a emitter. As you can see, the channel between base 1 and base 2 is N type, and the emitter is P type. The voltage is applied to the emitter in such a way to control the flow of current between base 1 to base 2. Now what about the application of the transistor? Since we have learned a transistor, so we need to understand the application of the transistor. The well-known application of transistor is the amplifier, which we already studied in some of the classes. Basic block diagram of operational amplifier, well-known basic block diagram. And if you remember, or if you can see into the block diagram of operational amplifier, there is a big chunk or big block known as a differential amplifier, where we need to have the transistor. Now, as you can see, the input stage of this operational amplifier is actually based on the transistor concept. But that means there are two transistors which are kept in front of each others like a mirror and used for the operation of the differential amplifier. Now, another application, if as we are concerned, is the multivibrator. Well known because we need to understand the multivibrator due to the clockwise pulses. Many of the circuit needs the clocks, and these are provided by the multivibrator, which is like an oscillator. Now, astable multivibrator are the multivibrators which don't have any stable state. That means they can have two states which are not stable to each other. The two transistors again has been used over here, and both are replica to each other. As you can see, the mirror image is there between the TR1 and TR2, and the resistance R1 and R2 are similar position as R3 and R4. And to observe the output, we have connected the LEDs between the collectors, so that as you can see, one transistor is on, the another transistor is turned off. That means one is in a stable state of on, the another is in an off state, whereas another is on, the first one is off. This is the state how the astable multivibrator acts. Now again, there is another multivibrator known as monostable multivibrator. Yes, over here what happened, it has a similar concept as a stable multivibrator. 50% you can see R3, R2 and Q1 is in the same position as a stable multivibrator, but only a small change in Q2 structure. We have make sure that it has only one state as a stable state. As you can remember what we have discussed, in a stable multivibrator both states are not stable. Okay, both states are not stable, whereas in a monostable multivibrator at least one state is stable. Okay, therefore it is known as a monostable multivibrator, and we have to trigger the circuit to provide functioning between the two states. Another most popular one is the bistable multivibrator. And a bistable multivibrator are the multivibrator where the two stable states are there, and you have to choose in which state you wanted to keep for the transistor TR1 or for the transistor TR2. And these can be done with the help of trigger input. The well-known application of the transistor is again a power supply, regulated power supply, which is a very need of our day-to-day life. Yes, in a regulated power supply, as you can see in the diagram, we have used the three transistors, and Q1, Q3 and Q2, where Q2 decide which voltage, because the Q2 के बेस पे जो रेजिस्टेंस लगा हुआ है VR1 of the 10 kilo ohm, that is a part which varies the base emitter voltage of Q2, and that sets the output voltage, and we can vary the voltage between 0 to 30 volt. So what happened, we are using the different transistor over here. The quantity of the transistor get increased as we goes up in our circuitry. So the next thing what they decided for the power supply is use of the IC that is known as a LM317. Yes, through the LM317 we can set the voltage between at any value between 0 to 30 volt. Okay, and here also you can see for the safety purposes we have used the transistor 2N3055 between the input and output. Okay, and the output has been taken from the emitter of the LM317, and the voltage has been set, it is adjustable voltage, we can set at voltage between 2 to 30 volt. Electronics.